So you didn't think we forgot about the update bulletin just because that Android 16 update arrived? Well, of course not. We cover every intricacy of Android here, and in some sort of serendipitous turn of events, there are 16 fixes actually in this Android 16 release, so yeah, let's get it. A quick message though for you lovely people watching this video. If you're new around here, then go ahead and hit subscribe. It means you get monthly updates just like this, delving into all the fixes on your Pixel phones, plus lots of other nice stuff in between, including intricate Android update releases. Cheers. So, if you have a Pixel 6 or newer and any device in between right up to the Pixel 9 Pro Fold, then this OTA is now available for you. And let's just get into these fixes straight away, because first up, we have some fingerprint scanner improvements with the OTA available, which means you should have more reliable unlocks on the Pixel 7 right through to the Pixel 9a. I'm not sure how this affects the Pixel Fold, the Pixel Tablet, and the 9 Pro Fold though, because at least in my experience, those with capacitive readers, they're definitely the most reliable right out the gate. But yeah, if you have the Pixel 7 right through to those devices, you should hopefully see better fingerprint unlocks with the display. Sadly, no room for the Pixel 6. Of course, we know that that has a slightly, well, slightly is probably an understatement. It doesn't have the best in-display fingerprint scanner. And if you're having connection woes when it comes to Bluetooth accessories or extras, or you did until this OTA dropped, then you should be pleased to know that this release reduces the risk of random disconnections or spotty connectivity with every single currently supported Pixel device. So that means 6 right through to the 9a. Always nice to see Bluetooth get a little bit of love, especially for connectivity purposes. The Pixel camera experience, I think, is usually pretty solid, I must admit, but whether it's related to improvements with the June feature drop, the camera performance is supposedly improved here with this patch. I'm not seeing any major gains on my devices so far, although it has been less than 24 hours, but this is also available right from the Pixel 6 through to the 9a, so let me know if you've seen any boosts on your phone when it comes to on-device camera performance. The changelog for this update also states that you should see better display stability with the Pixel 8, the Pixel Fold tablet, and the entire 9 series. I can't quite tell if it fixes the jelly or stutter scroll that I actually can't stand on the Pixel 9 series and some other Pixel devices out there. I'm running a completely fresh install on a couple of my phones, so I think it might have improved a little bit, or at least it feels that way. Again, let me know in the comment sections below if you have seen any gains, as this is something that, again, you have to see it to believe it, if that makes sense. The display fixes don't stop there though, as there are improvements for the light and dark theme to make those more consistent, no matter what lighting situation or environment you're in. This is one of those things that I think makes a real difference when, or at least a real difference in experience of using your phone throughout the day. So yeah, it's nice to see light and dark mode get a little bit of attention here. I'm also hoping that the Pixel 9 series brightness transitions are resolved, because sometimes it can go from dim to blazing without warning. It is supposedly fixed with the update here, but I haven't had the opportunity to thoroughly test or review this just yet. The issue has been one of the reasons why I've just stuck with almost all of my 9 series devices anyway at 50% brightness with manual settings rather than using auto brightness, as it can be a bit janky. That's the best way to describe it. To add to that, Google says there should be improved performance in certain UI transitions, but in typical fashion, there's no word on which transitions that they're talking about here. I can't say with any certainty that I've noticed a change, I must admit, but the placebo effect has me at least feeling like the 9 Pro Fold is smoother than it has before. But as I say, this is a fresh install, completely wiped device, and naturally those feel a lot smoother anyway. One thing you might notice right away though is that some tuning for the haptic feedback and intensity across the system. I do think some actions or vibrations have a little bit more oomph to them, but that might heavily depend on your actual device, as this technically only applies to the Pixel 7 and the 8 series this time, but better haptics, it's always nice to see. To be honest, I don't know why Google also lists general system stability as an improvement in any OTA update. It makes no sense, it's really vague and it doesn't really help anyone out, but it is supposedly better here once again. I guess that's a given this is a new platform update with all of the trimmings and all the extra functionality baked in. So far so good in my experience with it. That's often the case with any new Android update. It's a lot smoother than the beta phase. That's probably about as much as I can say really. Now, short of putting in new modems, improved calling and network performance gains are another welcome addition to the Android 16 OTA. However, this is limited to the Pixel 7 through to the Pixel 9 series, which oddly, I can't say I've had any major issues with prior to this. So sorry out there to you Pixel 6 owners, you're stuck with, well, let's be completely honest, poor connectivity, at least until you upgrade your device, the hardware that is, it seems. There are also a ton of UI fixes included in this update, so let's dive into that real quick. The first of these is a fix for extended screenshots. So now you shouldn't get issues with duplicated content when using this feature, and your screens won't get mangled for no reason. It's a little bit of a bonus because I do think this does need some work anyway. Hopefully we'll get some improvements with the Android 16 QPR1 update later down the line as well. There's also resolution for the duplicated or sometimes duplicated status bar symbols, which they could randomly overlap or bug out at times. I've seen this mostly when moving from portrait to landscape mode, but very, very, very infrequently. It is supposedly fixed now as well, so you shouldn't see duplicate status bar icons. And this is an issue I've personally seen a few times, but if you have lock screen shortcuts for home controls, then sometimes this toggle just won't randomly appear. And this has supposedly been fixed now on the Pixel 8 through to Pixel 9. It just sometimes, yeah, it just wouldn't appear, but even if you set it on both sides, it seems to work now with no problems. Also, within the wallpaper and style application should now show, or at least this application should now show the right wallpaper every time you make changes, because it could also bug out and just show the wrong wallpaper even if you selected it from time to time, but that was only limited to the Pixel 6 series, so that's 6, 6a and 6 Pro. That's supposedly resolved here. And by far one of the most important fixes, at least in my opinion, is a solution for missing notifications. As this would annoy me no end, but according to the changelog, no more missing notifications now, or at least there shouldn't be. I'll take Google's word for it, as you are using your phone after all, you don't want to miss notifications, and yeah, that would be a bit of a disaster. The final listed fix is for the At a Glance widget, which now should better respond to you tapping the weather section or the tiny, tiny little weather option within that permanent home screen section. I think realistically the At a Glance widget is a bit bunched up, so I can see why this would annoy you, or it might open the calendar by accident if you've got a fat thumb or you tap slightly off axis. I've noticed the location seems to be better at picking up specific zones, at least here as well when I'm in the UK, in terms of the weather. So yeah, so far so good with the At a Glance widget. It's easier to find that and tap the weather option here. So those are the fixes in this update. Of course, this OTA has lots of other things, trappings within it. I think most of them are merely cosmetic. There are some under the hood prep for the next big Android version, which is coming soon, and we've done deep dives into the beta versions of that, so go check that out here on the channel. What about the highlights of Android 16? Well, if you're wondering what's good about this update, I think battery health is probably the biggest and best. Advanced protection, that's a really nice addition. Live updates definitely look promising, but beyond that, I do think most of this is cosmetic changes with tiny little tweaks, because Android 16 QPR1 is going to be the overhaul, and that is coming in September. So yeah, the groundwork has been laid with this update. That update will be a lot more fun. Yeah, it's just the way it is at this point in time. You do get the June 2025 patch here as well, which means you're right up to date with security, you're safe and secure, and you can use your device as normal. As I say, there are quite a lot of fixes here in this OTA, which ordinarily doesn't happen. So let me know if you've had any major problems resolved or bugs that have appeared that I haven't mentioned. It's always some things that crop up, and yeah, we're not always aware of every single thing because I can't use your phone like you use a phone. That said, cheers for watching. Hopefully you've enjoyed this, and I will, I'll speak to you later.